Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Why do Black Lives Matter? How come we don't say white lives? What? How come we don't say white lives matter? Black Lives Matter. What's the matter with Black Lives? Yo, hey, this is Ted Hayes again, your civil rights and homeless activist, coming to you from out of the wilderness, your new voice of reason, commitment, vision. We're going to see again. And we start that site right here. We left off talking about the matter of Black Lives' 14th Amendment birthright citizenship, and it's being rifled away from us. And you're going to be shocked when I tell you and show you how one of the greatest travesties to ever confront our people is taking place right now under our very noses, in fact, in our very own name. Okay, you're gonna be, and I hope you don't get too upset with this, and don't get mad at me for revealing it to you. You get angry with the right folks who's stealing it from us. I said to you before that obviously if there's a 14th Amendment, there must be what? A 13th Amendment. Well, have you heard of the 13th Amendment? The 13th Amendment is the constitutional amendment. You see, when the founding fathers put together the United States, and then they put together the Constitution of the United States, okay? In it, they added something called the Bill of Rights. Basically, 10 amending laws to the existing law. Here was the Constitution here. It's describing how government should work and who's who. That was the Constitution here. The founding fathers were concerned that the Constitution would allow for the government to become so powerful and tyrannical that it would suppress the citizens of the United States and do the same thing we fought the Revolutionary War over. So they came up with something called the Bill of Rights. These are rights that belong to every U.S. citizen. No government official, nothing can abridge these rights. This is your armor, your shield, your protection against government, particularly a rogue government, which is why the founding fathers added in these 10 Bill of Rights, the most enforcing right was the Second Amendment, the right for you to legitimately bear arms to defend yourself, not just against the thug criminal that break through your house or attempt to hurt you and your family, but this is for a potential rogue government where it sends its military to come amongst the civilians, to suppress the civilians into submission of the tyranny of some knucklehead that's gone rogue within the federal government, and you will have the weaponry to defend yourselves against the military, because when them cats come, they're coming with all kind of sophisticated military style assault rifles and weapons. And if the citizenry is only allowed 22 pistols, 22s and pop guns and shotguns and things like that, then there is no resistance. There is no incentive to the rogue to not go rogue, you see. Whereas if the rogue knows that the citizenry is almost armed enough to where if you bring the military, a lot of people are going to pay. You might win, but you will ravage your military in the process. So that was put in there by our founding fathers to prevent a rogue government from taking place. And when you hear people trying to take away your weaponry, I don't own any guns and things. That's just not me. I'm not disciplined enough for that. I let other people who are disciplined, and I salute them, who are able to do that. But the citizenry has a right to defend itself, and they're telling you, give it up. Don't y'all give that up. Keep your powder dry. But I'm sorry, I digress. The point is, by the way, the most popular of the amendments is the First Amendment. Freedom of speech, or freedom of expression, and say, do what you want to do as long as you don't hurt nobody. Okay, that's the First Amendment. But the Second Amendment is the one that enforces all the other 9 amendments. You understand? You get that, don't you? Yeah, okay, good. Now, after the 10 amendments, there came an 11th amendment, obviously. Then there came a 12th amendment. Then the war breaks out between the Northerners and the Southerners. At the end of the war, which ended on April the 11th, I think it was 1865, when Robert E. Lee, the Southern Confederate of the general of all the Southern forces, surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant in Appomattox and gave up the Confederacy back to the Union. When that occurred, after that had happened, on December 6, 1865, several months after Abraham Lincoln, the president, whose idea this was, along with the radical Republicans, not Democrats, Republicans, decided we must not only liberate the chattel slaves from tyranny, but we must also end the institution that once held them in that degrading, generation-destroying tyranny. And they came up with something called the 13th Amendment to add to the Bill of Rights, okay? The 13th Amendment says this, y'all. Oh, by the way, in Abraham Lincoln, that same year, 1865, he was assassinated. He was assassinated primarily because not only did he lead the effort to liberate the chattel slaves, but he also not only laid the foundation, he called for and got the abolishment of slavery, but he also called for the citizenship of slaves. But the last thing that really did him in was when he called for the power of slaves, for the slaves to have the power to vote. That did it. That was the one. But the point is, he had died early in April, and in January 1865, January 6th, they passed the 13th Amendment. Now, the 13th Amendment is in 2 parts. The first part says, slavery in the United States is abolished except in prison. Slavery in the United States is abolished except in prison. We won't go into that at this point, what all that means. But basically, y'all, stay out of jail, okay? Stop doing things to each other that draws the police, racist or not, into the community to hurt one of y'all or finish hurting one of y'all, one of us, and then end up taking you to the unjust justice system where you get railroaded into prison. And y'all know what I'm talking about, the prison industrial complex. And that is chattel slavery. Because when you're there, you ain't got no rights other than human rights and the basics. And that's the trend, y'all. Slavery is abolished except in prison. Stay out of prison, please. Love one another, okay? Black Lives Matter. Why does it matter? That's why we're here today. You don't want to be killing each other because you're very important. And that's why the white people in this country gave us the 13th Amendment, because we thought our lives were that important. After they killed each other by the hundreds of thousands, they killed each other over the matter of us, okay? Then they freed us. Then after that, citizenship. Now that's the thing, that's the controversy right now that we're dealing with, we have to deal with, y'all. Our birthright. Let me read to you what it says so that you will know. This is the 14th Amendment now. This is what it says. Section 1. Now there's five sections. The others are like instructions. But Section 1, you read on your own. Section 1 is what we're dealing with. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, speaking of slaves and their children and their descendants, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge, that means undermine, cut off, the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Now, that's the 14th Amendment. That's ours. But you know what? The 14th Amendment came from something else. This is actually the child of something else. And that something else is called the Civil Rights Act of 1866. And the Civil Rights Act of 1866 has 10 sections in it that identifies what the national birth certificate is about and to whom it is granted. Listen to what it says here, and it sounds very identical to the 14th Amendment. This is the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Section 1. Be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be the citizens of the United States, and such citizens of every race and color, without regard to any previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall have the same right in every state and territory in the United States to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, give evidence, to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, can convey real and personal property to full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for the security of person and property as is enjoyed by white citizens. And the Constitution said that. And shall be subject to like punishments of white citizens, of course, pains and penalties, to none other in any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom to the contrary withstanding. What that is, that's a detailed version of the 14th Amendment, Section 1. See, what happened, folks, was the Republicans, recognizing that our ancestors had to be citizenized, they came up with this Congressional Act. This was a Congressional Act, not an amendment. But then they realized, wow, what if down the road the Democrats don't like the freed slaves to remain citizens and will take away their citizenship to push them back into slavery? We need to fix that. How are we going to fix it? I said, oh, I know. Let's put it in the Constitution. But it's not in the Constitution. The Constitution don't say nothing about slavery like that. No, the body of it doesn't. But remember the Bill of Rights? Yeah. Well, how many Bill of Rights we have? 10. And after that, 11, 12. Oh, are you saying take this Congressional Act and codify it into the Constitution by creating a bill, an amendment? That's exactly what I'm saying. Ah, brilliant. And that's exactly what they did. This document is actually the progenitor, the parent of this document, the 14th Amendment. This, the Civil Rights Act, the act is the Rosetta Stone, the interpreter of the amendment. This one here, like a mother will identify its own child, recognizes the 14th Amendment. Now, what you don't see in the 14th Amendment is the insides as to who it specifically is talking about. And in it, when you read the succeeding 9 sections, you'll see Black Lives Matter. It is about black lives and the matter of chattel slavery and these black lives being set free from slavery by white people and given and the institution that held them as slaves has been abolished, and that these people now have a citizenship, the same rights now as is enjoyed by the white citizens and their matters. You see what I'm saying here? You getting this? In other words, like a body, we have bone, we have sinew, we have muscles, we have internal organs, and we have the outer appearance, our skin. Well, my brothers and sisters, children, this 14th Amendment is the skin of the law of your birth certificate. The Civil Rights Act of 1866, that is the body. This is you. This describes you. This does not describe Hispanic Latinos. It does not describe Asians. It does not describe Europeans. It does not describe Africans from Nigeria, Uganda, Angola, wherever they're from. This does not describe nobody. This does not describe minorities. It doesn't describe a majority. It doesn't describe Muslims, Jews, Christians, atheists. This describes you. This is the matter of black lives. And you, when we're done, will understand this, and you will be empowered, and you will have a different outlook on yourself, our people, and this country. And you are going to be like me. You're going to be an activist, you're going to be clear, and you're going to work with us, and we're going to resolve this matter of black lives in the United States of America. This is Ted Hayes, civil rights activist, homeless activist, your #1 voice arising from the darkness and from the wilderness. Thank you.